Good evening, YouTubers. Welcome to episode 134 of Shrigleytube TV. Massive thanks for joining me tonight. Glad you clicked on. Hope you enjoy what you see. Also, as always, the messages, absolutely brilliant. Love reading them all. As a new thing, as of tonight, what I'm going to do is, at the very end of tonight's show, I'll do 5 minutes. I'll get the iPad and I'll read through all the questions because I'm useless at typing. It'd just be so much easier to read them and give you the answers because there's some really good questions on there that have got valid points, and obviously I just haven't got time. I feel bad if I reply to one but not the rest, and it's not fair, is it? So I'll go through them all. I'll do it verbally in 5 minutes. I've got a new subscriber, my dad. He's been watching my videos. In fact, that's why I'm stood so far away from the camera, because I went round to their house and they put me on and I was like, this great big Andy head in the television screen. I was like, oh, I've got to get further away from that camera. That is awful. Anyway, he rang me to say he'd watched my video, and last week when I got a bit emotional about the lack of stock car funding and the stock car tracks that we'd lost, and he said, you forgot White City. And I thought, oh, I did forget White City. So yeah, White City in Manchester. I did go there as a young kid, but obviously it slipped my mind, that one. But another track that the North has lost. Anyway, what I'm going to say is I had a good week's work. I've learned to tidy up after myself. I've had Friday afternoon, I had an hour of housekeeping, and I hoovered the machines and swept up and etc. So if Kit from Down Under's watching, no doubt he'll be in absolute shock when he sees what I've been up to, but I'm going to try and make a real effort to keep it clean. Personally, I had a big chat with myself on Thursday, and I thought, you know what, the season will be upon us in no time, the race season, and I have no intention of going out because I'm so busy with building dynos and all the rest of it. And I thought, you know what, you're just making excuses. If you shape yourself, there's only one person stopping me from going out racing, and that's me. So I thought, what are you waiting for? Another year to go by to get older and slower. And so I thought, right, we'll have a big push. So I'm going to ditch a load of little projects that have been hanging around me, probably sell a few vehicles and get stuck into the race car. At the end of tonight's video, you'll see I've just stripped my last year's, or the year before that race engine. I've got a plan on where I want to go with that. So that's great. So I'm feeling positive about that. And yeah, it's all looking good. Now, I never actually ask the viewers to subscribe and like and subscribe, because when I watch a video of someone else's and it says please like and subscribe, it helps our channel. It just, I don't know why, but it's like I wouldn't do it then because I've been told to do it, if that makes sense. I'd like and subscribe because I wanted to, not because the person making the video tells me. However, you know, I am that kid that when your dad said to you as a kid, you know, don't touch that, it's hot, I'd be straight in there and touch it and then burn my finger and wonder why, you know. So I'm a bit different. But so what I should potentially say to you is don't like and subscribe, and then maybe you'll go and like and subscribe. But if you can and you feel like it, no pressure, but if you can, it would massively help the channel because it helps me to reach more people, and then obviously it'll get more hits, and eventually we'll end up with more pound notes, and it'll all end up back in the pot, and we'll put it into more cameras or a better camera and a microphone and things like that. Anyway, only if you feel like it, no pressure. Right, I'll let you get on with tonight's video, and I look forward to seeing you all next Sunday at 7. Have a great week. Bye for now. Good morning, YouTubers. It's Monday morning, and I was just catching up with myself thinking, I've had too much time off, a full weekend off again with the children. So, very nice, but when you come back in again, it's like, wow, where are we up to here? There's engines everywhere. Anyway, I'm not even going to start Alex and Jenny's engine first thing because it's Monday morning. I'm going to defrost on something that's a nice, easy task, or, you know, relatively repetitious, just to get my brain in the right state of mind. So I'm going to continue boring blocks, and I'm going to set up here with the crankshafts so we can get the cranks on this machine. And the first thing we do with the cranks is we put blanks in the end of them. I'll explain as I go, but it's got 5 holes in the back for a flywheel and a 5 stud 930. I put threads in them, and then we grind them off so that we can turn them into 4 stud crankshafts rather than 5. So There's quite a few operations on that, but what I'll do is while the borer's going and I'm in arm's reach of saving it as a problem, I'll do my crankshafts here, you see. So that's the plan, that's what we're in full production mode. I've got my crankshafts here. Now, what we're doing is, whilst this machine's running over here, so I've been boring, I've been setting this up in a lathe. This is me 3-point steady, and we have to machine the end of the crankshaft. We'll start around here. So this is a Hillman Imp crankshaft, for those of you that aren't aware, and this is a Talbot Sunbeam crankshaft. These are all brand fire new, straight out, brand new engines. Now it's really good to use these cranks, but they don't fit, because if you look, it's got 5 bolts, and this flange thickness here is about ½ inch longer than the Imp one. So what we do is we put them in the 3-point steady, and we machine it all down here, and we drill the end of it, and then we make it so that we can put a proper roller bearing in for the spigot, but we'll explain that later. But the first operation we do before we do any of that is take the dowel out, and then I'll Loctite 5 old 3/8 UNF bolts into the end of here to create blanks, so that when we machine it, we end up with a totally smooth surface, so I can re-drill it for the 4 bolts that make the Imp flywheel fit. It might sound like a load of palaver, right? But because we've always used Imp cranks, I like to keep the compromises to a minimum. You know, every time I come across someone who's got one of these crankshafts in the car, the flywheel sticks out too far, so then the clutch doesn't work in its correct swing, and the clutch sometimes fouls the inside of the bell housing, because obviously this is faster, so the whole lot sits further out, designed for you know, front engined rear wheel drive conventional setup. So you just get rid of all the compromises at the earliest stage so that everything fits. So we just put an Imp flywheel on, it sits in the same position in the engine, so the clutch works correctly. You can buy a standard clutch, a standard flywheel, no compromises. It's all about limiting the compromises. So on Friday I put a load of old 3/8 UNF bolts, because when I was moving the units, I kept on coming across them, so I put them all in one place. So I've got all them bolts to go. I have got new ones as well, but as we just use the end part of the thread and then grind them off, it seems daft putting new ones in. So what I'll start doing is I'll start de-doweling and then Loctiting the bolts in, and then we'll set all these cranks up outside where I don't want to get grinding dust in the workshop. And what we're going to do is we're going to slit and disc all of the threads off, and then grind this lump off the end here to release the original spigot bush. And then the next operation is on here, and what I'm going to do is we're doing 2 sections, because I've got 15 cranks to go out, which should keep me going for quite a while. I'm going to rough cut, and then we'll do a finish cut. So we'll do them in 2 sections. Pushing the boat out, run a 50 thou cut. Doesn't even bother it, look at it. Smooth as silk. That was a proper result putting that motor on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking the dowels out using this vise, but I haven't actually bolted it down yet, so that's the first job to do. And outside here, my mate Bernie's rocked up, and do you know what he's doing? Bless him. He rings his elderly auntie every Monday morning and spends half an hour talking to her. He's such a nice guy. That's the sort of guy you don't come across very often, innit? He takes the time out to ring his auntie every Monday morning. So I've got some news for Bernie. Bob's just been round and reminded me it's the coffee morning. So we're going to the coffee morning in the village hall, go and get some cakes and then get back here, get stuck into some work. And as to where we're up to, it's nearly, what time is it? Oh my gosh, it's nearly 2 o'clock. We've had Ed round. Ed's dropped his rally car off, and I've been, whilst I was talking to him, I carried on working because we had a good catch up, but I've been putting bolts in the end of these. At first we started putting old second-hand flywheel bolts in, but then I discovered I'd got a giant box full of 3/8 UNF shanked bolts, so I thought we'll use them because I can't think of any other use for them. So I put all of these, I now got bolts in, and I've taken all of the dowels out and saved the dowels. So we've got the dowels there to put back in crankshafts. So we go outside, I'm set up outside now. There's Ed's rally car. Jesus Christ. That was the alarm that Bernie's just testing for me. It's not the wind out with that. That's in for a bit of a service because he should have his new engine in, but because I've been so slack and so behind, I haven't produced it for him. I said, we'll just start the season with your old engine. So I'm just going to check the valve clearances and we're going to give it a bit of a service, ready for his rally in a couple of weeks' time. Hopefully it'll just survive a bit longer and we can get his new one on the go. We can call this Ed's crankshaft, in fact, and we can call the block on the boring machine Ed's block as well. So as you can see, what I do is I just grind off all of the studs, and then we'll take this onto the lathe now. That's the boss that's on the end with the needle roller bearing. That's the remainder of the needle roller bearing, and I'll face that, and then we'll create our new index for the in flywheel with that 1/2 inch of material we've got to remove, and then we'll drill it as well. But we'll go through all that together. Quick update, it's 4 o'clock or just gone, still not finished my block. I keep getting involved with other things, but while it was nice and quite dry and not too windy outside, I thought I'd get on with grinding all of my threads off. So you can see now where I was coming from before. We'll put one of these in the lathe, like this one here, and we'll face it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rough it all out, leave like 10th thou on the face and 10th thou on the diameter, and then drill it and bore it. Oh no, we won't finish. Oh, I might finish. No, I won't finish bore it. I'll just drill it, and then we'll put the next one on, and we'll get them all to that stage because it's quite hard, this steel. It's like EN16, so it wears the tips out. So if I try and remove all that material, I'm forever chasing sizes, whereas if we just leave 10th thou on, hopefully we can set the machine up with a new tip in it and then just rattle through them all. Just take the last 10th thou off each diameter, go in, come out, face, chamfer, and then we'll do the boring separate again. That'll be another tool. But that's the plan anyway, just trying to speed the job up. So that was like 3 hours of my life I'll never get back, but they are all ground now and they're all back in the workshop. I did them all outside, as you saw, because I didn't want dust in the workshop. That was some old crankshafts that we weren't going to use. We're only doing brand new ones. And then through here, Bernie, I've left you alone all day. Bernie's been busy fixing the CCTV up and stuff. Bernie, you're brushing up as well.
Yeah, sleeping up now.
Oh, you are too good, you are. Yeah, Bernie's been busy.
The camera.
Is it all for the camera? Is that
all for the camera,
he saw me getting the camera, and then he ran for the brush. Now, as you know, we used to have a rat infestation at the old workshop, and in this one, any foods we've been eating, I've been putting them in a plastic bag and making sure they come home with me at night. But this morning we had some bad news because, well, actually, this is Andy. It's got to be Andy. You know, Andy the handyman. He's put little mice on loads of different places in the works. There's one there. We found 2 so far. I'll squeeze past it there, but sorry. Oh, sorry, mate. Yeah, this is his other little thing that he did. So really made me chuckle when I happened a week before. In the interest of hygiene, please can you leave these toilets? Because it was a big message, but he's trimmed it. It's just, the thing that's funny about Andy is he doesn't say anything. Oh, it's wonderful that, mate, thanks. He just does these things and then goes home. And then I found another mouse. Where was the other mouse? Was in here somewhere, wasn't he? Where was he? Oh yeah, there's another one there. Another little ratty. So yeah, just a bit of fun. Right, we'll leave it at that and over and out for today. Good morning, it's Tuesday morning. And today we have no interruptions that I know of. No one's coming to see me. I'm going to lock myself in here. It's pretty much chucking it down outside. So hopefully, I was supposed to be getting on with Ed's car, but that's not happening. I'm going to finish my block. We're going to get stuck into these cranks, get all these cranks machined so we can get back to building. But hopefully if we can keep both machines running at the same time, that will be great and get some actual production underway. So I'm going to stop waffling, and if anything exciting happens or anything relevant, I'll discuss it with you. Just face the end of that one off there. But I think we're going to change the tool. We're going to put like what we call a ripping tool on, so we're just going to rip through, leave tempo everywhere, and we'll do the drilling as well. Hey chaps, it's Tuesday mid-morning. You've just seen the time lapse there. So I've been trying to run this machine and run that one, but because that one's automatic, what I do is that has priority. So as soon as that one stops, no matter what I'm doing on this machine, we tools down and we get that one going again, because that's the way it's got to work, if you know what I mean. There's no point leaving that one static while I plod on here, because that could be getting on with something while I'm doing this. So been quite good. Done one cylinder on this next engine here, so finished the other one, which took about 3 days to do. This one, the machine is absolutely awesome. I can't describe how happy I am with that three-phase motor. It plows through, no problem. And just a little message to Bernie. Bernie fitted it with a trip out inside here, because what happens is the liners are cast in eccentric, they're not true. So as you can see, it gets to a stage where it breaks through on one side and then this starts spinning and it jams the tool. And that is what kills a lot of these machines, because if you're not stood next to it when it jams, it burns the windings out. But because Bernie's fitted that contact breaker with the overload, as soon as it spun and saw a bit of load, just tripped out. Perfect, Bernie, what a job. So on this at the moment, what we're doing is the first two operations, which is to rough out the end, leaving 10th thou on the diameter for the spigot and on the face, so we can finish turn it later. I'm trying to limit the tool changes. I've put this carbide tool in, and this drill is to make the hole deeper. In fact, I'll show you. You can see the paint mark. That's how much, like an inch to take out of these. The biggest issue we see with 930 conversions is, where they've not been done like this, is that the Hillman input shaft bottoms out in the bottom of the hole, and then what it does is it burns the thrust washers, because there's so much load on them when you clamp the engine and gearbox together that it burns them out. So I've drilled them all deeper, obviously making sure we don't go through into the hole, because that hole goes off to the big end there. So they've all got deep holes in them now. So I've roughed them out. I've just about got the setup working how I want it. I've had to slow it down on the speed because it was burning the tip out too quickly, even though it was carbide. Because these bolts are high grade flywheel bolts, they're quite hard, and when you're machining them, you can hear it, it doesn't like it at all. So they're just roughed. There's 10th thou on the face, 10th thou on the diameter. We'll do that with the next operation, and then at the same time, so we're going to do all the drills to the depth. What we'll do is we'll put a bigger drill in and we'll take out all this meat. It'll become more apparent when I come to it, ready for the bearing to go in the end of the crankshaft for this, to support the input shaft. It's called a spigot bush. Right, I'll stop waffling. I have got one other thing I wanted to show you. It's a bit fascinating for me, this. I've always thought, because I'm using a Hillman Imp timing chain. So on the Hillman Imp, when they've had a real good buzzing, when people miss a gear, I've always assumed that any slack in the chain, when the engine's doing big high RPM, the chain would fly out to the outside, which is what you'd think it'd do because of, centrifugal force. But what I've realised that I've been thinking is, between here and this point is a straight line. It isn't actually going round in a circle, it's going in a straight line. And it's given me an idea on how we can support the chain better in the actual race engine. Because if you watch this now, by the way, I don't put my fingers near it. What I do is I turn it off there, turn the switch on here, and then stand back, and I'll just show you this chain. It's really crazy. Make sure it's all clear there. So the chain is going inwards. So maybe we could have better camshaft timing control, because obviously when the chain goes slack and hard and tight, the camshaft isn't in perfect correlation to the crankshaft. So maybe we control the camshaft position better by putting an inner guide as well as an outer guide on the chain. Well, anyway, something to think about. Right, I better do some more work. Come out for dinner. Say hello, Gilly.
Hello.
Look at that. Can't get any more steak in there. Not awesome. That I dislike doing my crankshafts and using my machines, but The sun's come out and I thought, you know what, let's go outside and have a look at Ed's car. So I've come outside to it. I'm going to give it a bit of a service and just check the valve clearances are okay. To give you a history on this engine, it was new for the beginning or the end of the year before season, so he had it ready for January, and he had a bit of an issue with dust getting in. So mid-season I noticed it was down on compression, and we went round to Ed's house, if you remember, and we did the shims for him, which got him his compression back, and it ran on all four. But the engine was smoking a little bit, not excessively. It still had oil pressure, but he'd obviously seen a bit of dust. So I said, look, Ed, for 2026 I'll do you with a fresh dry liner bottom end, nice one, so you've got a nice engine. So I'm on with that, but I'm late. So I've said to him, Ed, do you think you can struggle it to the end of the season, or to the first few rounds of 2026, just till they get the engine finished? And he said, yeah, no problem. But it arrived here off the trailer yesterday. Maybe you can see this, but yeah, it's on a number 7 plug, but it's well oily. So I've just took the plugs out, put a set of new 6s in. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it for a drive around the block, and hopefully it'll fire up and run all four. Get a bit of heat into it, make sure everything else is okay, and then we'll start the service. Bob's very kindly said I can do it inside his unit because it's obviously a bit cold out here. So hopefully it'll fire up on all four. It's an old nut, nothing wrong with it. New set of plugs. Obviously we couldn't video while I was driving, but there's not a lot wrong with this head. It's got some oil pressure. Just check for smoke out the back. It's still a bit cold, the engine. We've been around the block. Being truly spoilt. Bob has put the heater on for me. Did Bob put that on especially for me, Paul? No.
It's on the bill.
It's on the bill. Yeah, I'm gonna say I should have known that, shouldn't I? Crikey. Right, we'll get this cam box off, and I suspect it may have a few close clearances, because when it was cold, when I went to drive it, it wasn't like a lean stutter, it was like a missy stutter. And then as it got warmer, obviously it started to run all four quite cleanly, and I do suspect that might be, as the head's grown, it's obviously the clearance grows, so if we find a few that are right close and tight, that'll be the problem. But apart from that, I think it's fairly fit. It should be all right for the first few rounds of this year. Backtracker, had a look at the shim clearances, and they're all within tolerance, all with like 7 and 8 thou. So that is not the issue. It feels like it's a bit rich to me, to be honest. I'm going to follow this air pipe up to the back window and have a look and see if we can find an air filter, just in case it's clogged with dust, because there's certainly nothing wrong there. Good morning, it's Wednesday morning. Nothing exciting to report, still plugging through crankshafts. I've just finished this one here, and I just thought I'd show you, that's the previous one. This is the amount of swarf that comes out of a block when we machine it. Quite a lot of material. There's a bit of the offset liner, you can see. They're offset, as I say, they're casting wonky, they're not always concentric. So the whole eye bore is concentric to the original hole, but they're just not always 100% concentric, which is why when you bore a 930, which is 70mm to 998, and use the original liner, you've got to be very careful you don't break through. Sometimes you break through to the aluminium, you know. Anyway, there you go. We'll get all this cleaned into the swarf pot. Look at the mess I'm making. It's feeling more and more like Moss Road every day. Okay, little update for you guys. I'm really sorry, there's nothing exciting to report. It's, oh my gosh, how's it got to 3 o'clock? This is the last crank for roughing out and drilling. I'm actually excited. I can't believe I'm actually excited that I've finished them. So we've got 14 done here. All the ends are roughed out. And I'm actually excited because it's been that monotonous. I'm excited to bore them, or to drill them, sorry, and to turn this face and that diameter. And then what we'll do is we'll create another pile, and then they'll go back in again, and we'll do the bore for this bearing here. So obviously originally the imp had a oilite bush, and then the late imps used a needle roller that ran on the input shaft spigot diameter there, but I opted for a sealed bearing because it just makes it totally foolproof. You know, if someone's putting the engine in, they haven't got it quite straight, you can sometimes damage the original bearings, but with this you won't damage it, it'll just go straight on, no problem. So that's good. I've used this before, it works really well, so I'm happy about that. It's just like, crikey, I'm just not on for doing things repeatedly. It's just tiring, should we say? Not tiring, boring. Anyway, but talking of boring jobs, the borer has been absolutely superb. What a machine, just ploughing through there, so that's great. So we're getting on with the blocks. Obviously, as I explained earlier, this always takes priority, so that's why I've been a bit slow with these. But because these are like EN16, it's really tough and it just annihilates the tip, especially with the intermittent cutting with the cap head bolts that were ground off in the end. They're quite hard, you know, so it just does the tip all the time. Hopefully the next operation will be dead nice, in, face, done. And then we'll find a bigger drill and we'll rough out the hole for boring. So we'll just do the two operations. So it's all about setup time. So we set up once, we do all 15, because to get it out of the lathe takes 10 seconds. You undo that and undo the chuck, and that crank comes out. You haven't got to clock it up or anything because it runs in the 3-point steady on these 3 points here. There's 3 bronze bushes here. It always runs true. So it's all about keeping the production up. That's what we're all about. Anyway, before you fall asleep on me, I'll stop waffling, and hopefully next time I speak to you, I will have the crankshafts a bit further along and maybe another block on the go. Tomorrow, we're not doing late night Wednesday tonight. Tomorrow is going to be late night Thursday because it's just to do with a situation with people being poorly at home off work. So I'm going to go home tonight early, and then tomorrow will be late night Thursday. I've had to come outside and escape the crankshafts before they got me. Ed's rang to say he's coming to get his car, so I said, all right, I'll fire it up and I'll go for a quick drive and warm it up. I'll try and zip tie the camera to a headrest or something. Okay, YouTubers, I've no idea if this is going to work out or not. I've wedged the phone between the windscreen and the instrument binnacle. Yeah, it goes alright, this. Probably quite a heavy car. Gearbox is absolutely lovely, even back into first. Beautiful, that synchro box with a lowered third and fourth, I believe. Come on, Mr. Van. Uphill here, so I had to work quite hard there. I think it's not a lot wrong with it, obviously a bit worn, but yeah, it goes well, that. I think I'd be happy with that. We'll just cruise back to the workshop now and hand it over. Right, I'm just back from having a good drive in Ed's car, and one thing that I'd failed to appreciate when I moved here is how much nicer it is to test drive a car, because there's no traffic lights and 50 mile an hour speed limit, so you can you can do a little bit, you know, and just work it a bit harder than you could in Stretford, which was like 100 yards, another set of traffic lights. So I'm pleased it's in one piece because Mr. Edward's here with me. How you doing, Edward?
Yeah, good, thanks.
You're looking very well. Quite like a racehorse. What's happened?
Well, the thing is, I wanted more brake horsepower out of the engine.
Yeah.
And you said lose some weight, so I have.
I meant out the car. I wasn't being personal.
So yeah, I've done a fasting diet, which has worked. So, yeah, I've lost like nearly 4 stone now.
Look really well, actually. Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Well, I'm sure it'll reflect in your times this year. Obviously, I'm sorry we've not got your new engine ready. You've been very understanding. I am on it. It's just that I'm trying to batch everything together and it slows me down, you know?
Yeah, no, it's... you just want to get rid of some more junk, Andy.
Well, all this is going in the container. The landlord's very kindly said I can put a container at the side. I'm going to buy a new one that's green, the same colouring as the cladding on that side, so it sort of camouflages in.
Take it to the scrapper.
No, the dynos. It's the dynos.
Oh, right, okay.
The dynos and the compressor.
Right. For
the aqua blaster. So that'll free all that space up then. So we'll have straight access to the ramp then. That'll be brilliant, mate.
Nice one.
Yeah. And there's quite a lot of other stuff. The steamer and stuff's going to go around there and things like that. So.
Oh, good.
So yeah.
So you sorted the car out?
Yeah. To be honest, I've not done a great deal to it. I took it apart and the clearances were all within within a thou of where I wanted them to be. So nothing's moved again since the dust inhalation, which was nice to see. Yeah. It breathes a little bit, but I can't see it smoking loads or anything. It's not like, it's not a chuffer. It's got plenty of oil pressure. Oops.
Started it to what it was before.
Yeah, it's definitely happier. Fan belt speaks to it when it's cold, doesn't it? I'll knock it off. I never want to go too tight with them because of the water pump bearings, but yeah.
No, if the fan belt's speaking, I've noticed that.
If you struggle with starting it, when it's hot, just hold it half throttle. Don't pump it. Yeah. Just hold it half throttle and crank it, and it'll catch and go.
Yeah, big problem is the V belt. They wear the aluminium out.
Oh, I see.
And what happens is that bit there sits on top of the pulleys, aluminium pulleys.
Right.
So you don't get the V dragging into it. So
so it's riding on I can see it on the bottom pulley,
Yeah.
If you give me the pulleys when we come to the engine, I'll take them off, put them in the lathe, and I'll go deeper so that it gets it back on the V.
Yeah, that's what it wants.
Yeah, because there's more surface area on the V, isn't there, than just around the bottom.
Competition miles since I've had it, since I put those pulleys on, is about 6,000 miles now.
Right.
Or 6,000 miles worth of rallies over the last, only 3 years now.
Yeah, you've been doing it.
Yeah, it just, the aluminium wears away and it sits on top of the V.
Yeah. No, we can do something with that. Get another bit of life out of them, because I've seen it where the bottom ones, they've got a series of bolts that hold them, and I've seen it where people have ploughed so deep that it started to break through into the threads, and yours are nowhere near. So we'll get another go out of them. But no, when's your next rally then, Ed?
It's the Dan Sport, which is Chesterfield Way. On February the 18th.
18th, just before.
And then 2 weeks after that, all the local guys will have to come to the Tour of Cheshire because the stage is around Alton Park.
Around Alton Park?
Yeah.
You have to remind me. Send me a text.
Yeah.
I'll come and see that, definitely. Excellent. Well, thanks for talking to us, Ed, and I hope you enjoy seeing me drive your car. I'll call it spiritedly. I only went to 8. And I kept it to 55 mile an hour.
I've left you some presents, by the way, if you can find them.
Yeah, have they got little tails and whiskers?
I don't know about that.
I thought it might have been you. Very funny. Brilliant. Right, thanks, Ed. Okay, chaps, it's Thursday. First time we've got the video camera out today. I've been busy with my crankshafts. Look at all them, all machined up now. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 3 blocks. I'm on the 4th. Yeah, really making some progress. Got one more to do. I think I've got one more I can strip, which is going to get us enough blocks for what we need. Now, obviously, you've noticed we've got twice as many heads as we have blocks, or we've got 15 cranks. But that's because every new 930 that I sell, what I'll do is I'll pull the crank out, put it in a pile, because there'll be a 5-bolt one, ready for machining, and it'll get one of these. So it just makes it easier and quicker, rather than, you know, imagine setting up to do one crankshaft. It just wouldn't make sense, would it? So by doing this, I've got them all top turned, faced to the correct width, drilled for the spigot and rough drilled for the bearing. Next operation is to put a boring bar in here and bore out this diameter to suit the bearing, and then they'll come out, and then I'll go back in one final time for the 45-degree chamfer on there and on there, and then that's them. Then they can go in a pile with greased up, ready for allocation to an engine. So what I'll do is, here's my flywheel. This is me go and no go gauge. So it's just an old imp flywheel. This is 1 inch and can't do that, can I? I need this finger. This is 1 5/8 this diameter, plus 1 thou, so that when it does go on, it's just a bit warm still. But yeah, it has to be plus 1 thou when it's hot from the machine. Oh no, I've got it stuck now. This is a disaster because the crank will fall off. I've only got one hand. Oh my God, how have I ended up in this situation? Right, I have to use both. What I was trying to say is, because we've been drilling the end of them and putting heat into this area, they have to be plus 1 thou when they're hot, because they come down about half a thou when they're cold. So it just makes it a nice snug fit, because the next operation will be to go on the radar drill, or pedestal drill, whatever you want to call it, and we'll put a flywheel on, make a new centre dot mark for the dowel, drill it for the dowel. I've got a special drill which is about 4 thou down on whatever it is, 3/8 of an inch, and then we knock the dowel in, and then put the flywheel back on, and we reference all the other holes then using a flywheel so we can drill and tap them. That's another ordeal that we'll probably have to go through together. But I'm probably aware that you've already had 2 cans of Red Bull just to get to this stage. I don't want to bore you to sleep. So that's where we're at. We're making progress. It's 8:10, crikey. If I can get all these bored and chamfered tonight so that they go over there next for the pillar drill tomorrow, that'll be a result. And it'd be nice if we could finish that block. Chaps, it's the end of play on Thursday. I've run out of power. That's my little boring bar. I just go in with that. And then we've done a bit of top turning, a bit of chamfering. Not top turning, just chamfered that edge and give it a quick polish with some tape. I've finished my block, still got all these to go at. I've only got part way through. There's my bearing, there's my bearing. I'll show you what we do with this over here. So, that's my last block of today to be done. So, I think we've got 2 more to chew at tomorrow. Here's some completed items. So, this bearing, initially, the first batch of these I made a big mistake. I made them virtually size on size, so you had to tap the bearing in. But what happened was, the bearing was so tight in there that basically the tolerances in the bearing itself are so tight, because we were tapping them into the hole, the middle refused to turn. So I had to rebore them all again. So that was a bit of a disaster. I'll just tap that home. So what we'll do is we'll put that in with some Loctites. You see, once it got straight, it just flew in. So the test, of course, is to put the input shaft in. And yep, that's absolutely grand, that. No problem at all. Beautiful, nice and smooth. So what we'll do is we'll crack on in the morning, get another block on the go, get all these cranks finished. And then once that operation has been finished, I'm not too stressed about them being drilled and tapped, because it doesn't take long to do that, and it's not big setup. It's just a case of getting and drilling the pedestal drill and drilling it. So we'll just probably do 5 of them or something, get them 5 ready, and then we'll put the rest on the shelf, because I'm desperate to get stuck into production, because we've got a lot of people waiting patiently. Right, I'll stop waffling and I'll over now. Good morning, it's middle of Friday morning, 10:30. Came in early this morning. I'm really pleased to tell you, chaps, and the old lady that watches, that the crankshafts are finished, or this stage of it's finished. So it's all faced, bored, top turn for the spigot. So next stage is pillar drill, and we'll put the dowels in and then drill and tap them. But before I do that, I'm on with another block. What I've got to do is, are you ready for it, guys? You ready for it, Kit from down under? I've got to clean the lathe. Now, I know I'm dead scruffy, but I was actually trained at Ingersoll Rand Training School, Southmore Road in Wythenshawe, and on Fridays at 1 o'clock, we tools down whatever we were doing, and we used to do housekeeping afternoon, which was basically just clean all the machines down, mop the floors, cups away, tools away. And my old training school teacher, guy we used to call Dracula because he had bad breath, he used to say cleanliness is next to godliness. So he'd be disappointed if he saw the way I work, but never mind. We're going to get all this tied up as well, but obviously no point going crazy on the miller because I've still got loads and loads of blocks of machines, so at least I can put the 3-point steady away and the lathe can be returned to its normal state so it can get on with normal jobs. Right, I'll stop waffling and get on with that. Hey, can you stop making a noise, please? I'm just doing a conversion.
It's called work.
Work? I've just, my mate Mark, come on Mark, don't be shy. This is son of Bob. Remember Mark? Mark's the scanner, the scan man. What do you reckon, Mark? Do you reckon we could do something with this or what? I've got loads of these engines. What, do you think it'd be a good conversion?
I don't know, mate. Yeah.
Think it'd take off? It could be like, we could call it the Hillman range extender. Just got to find a way of connecting it to the wheels. But yeah. Is it all aluminium, this thing? Isn't it? Is it Ali? Yeah, it looks it, doesn't it? Well, very good, mate. It's end of play on Friday. Sorry there's been nothing exciting going on. This is especially for you, Kit. I've hoovered my lathe. And even though I've got more boring jobs to do, I've put all the tools up there and I've actually cleaned the machine down, which is pretty unheard of for me. I've made a new adapter for my hoover. So it's that big diameter. I put a piece of pipe on it and squash the end. Works an absolute treat. Obviously, you've got to keep your hand over this bit, but I'll take that up later or shorten it. But yeah, works a treat that. Right, I'm back in the morning, Saturday morning anyway, for sure. So I'll see you then. Bye for now. Good morning, YouTubers. It's Saturday morning, Club for Andy. Got till 1 o'clock here today, so we're going to get something achieved. Now, I thought I'd put the camera on me so I have a chat with you, because I was going to say, everyone always goes on about environment being everything, and I've got to be honest, it's much more inviting to start a job when the machines are cleaned down. I'm going to make a real effort to stay on top of this workshop and keep it all tidy, no matter how busy we get. Quite interesting. I remember someone saying, you know, like a hoarder who lives in like one chair in the house and every room's full to the rafters with papers and junk. When they go in and clear it all out and make them a nice environment, sometimes, not always, they keep it that way because they feel the pleasure of having a declutter. Anyway, I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that I was ever a hoarder. Obviously, I was just a collector of treasure. That's all I was. But yeah, the machines look really nice. I thought, I'll get stuck into them cranks, and I thought, you know what? We'll leave the cranks because I've been having a chat with myself. Got them all lined up there, ready for Monday. And the Hillman that's on the ramp up there, obviously, beginning of February tomorrow, and I'm thinking, we've got to make a decision because I can hear myself telling customers, oh yeah, we're really busy, I've got loads to catch up with and all the rest of it. Another year will go by and I'll do nothing. So I thought, you know what, you've got to stop making excuses and crack on and just get your head down. There's only one thing stopping that car from being on the track, and that's me, because of my ability to swerve what I'm supposed to do and get on with other things like customer work and all that. So I'm going to go in there now in my little build room. I'm going to put Alex and Jenny's engine back together because I put the guides back in the head yesterday. I didn't video it because I was busy, but I was just... Anyway, the guides are back in there, glued in now, so no work will go on the outside of them. I'm going to recut the seats and fix the port, bolt the head on, and then if there's time, I'm going to drag the race engine, not the one that's in it, it's got the offset engine in it that didn't work, the one that we spent about 1 million hours trying to make work, but it had no torque. That's going to get just put that to the sides for a rainy day. And the race engine that was in it beforehand, the one I did the 2 bronze hatches in 2 years consecutively, etc., that's a good sort of standard 1040 imp engine that'll get me out there. So I'm going to take it apart and give it a bit of a refresh just to inspect it all, because it hasn't been apart for a couple of years. And then at least I'll have an engine. Then the gearbox is good. We just got to take the rear beam off it, not the beam, the cross member, and replace that, because you remember it got bent at Brands Hatch and we never quite fixed it properly, so that needs fixing. In a straight line. And then we've got steel doors to sort out and steel front and rear bonnet and boot, which is not really the end of the world. It's not a lot of work, it's a couple of 3 days once you get your head stuck into it. But I'm going to try and just do a little bit just to get us that little bit closer. Maybe we won't make it out for the first race of the year, but certainly want to be doing Alton Park and Brands Hatch and stuff. Right, I'll stop waffling, get on with some work. Okay, chaps, quick update. This is the Alex and Jenny head. Obviously, because we had the guides out of it to reseal them, they didn't quite go back in the same orientation, so I've had to give the seats just a quick cut and a big lap. So I've lapped all the valves in, and it's all seating nicely now, and it sounds like we've got a jet plane underneath here, but anyway, that's the heater just coming back on again. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to repair that port. It isn't in a part of the port where it's parallel, so we're going to have to be a bit inventive about how we do that, but I'll sort that out. And then we might put it to one side until next week and get on with stripping the race engine for my race car. Okay, finished Alex and Jenny's head. That'll go back together on Monday now. It's 20 to 11, so I've still got a couple of hours. Pull this down. This is the 1040 that I've raced with on and off the last few years. It's a bit scruffy. It's got the cling film around it because it lived in the ambulance as a spare in case anyone needed it for a while when I went to watch at different meetings, but it never actually got used. So it's there, it's looking very sorry for itself. I've just noticed it's on an old school imp block, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on a new block. That's the first thing I'm going to do. And I may change the head on it because I want to do something a little bit different, just to try something for a change. So we'll get it stripped and we'll see what condition it's in. Quick update. I've took the head off on the floor because it was too heavy for me to pick up on my own and put it on the bench. Anyway, it feels like it's a shame to take it apart. It was sealing perfectly and it looks like it was running quite well, but that's an old school imp block because I think I did that before I was lucky with my purchase of the new 930s. So 930s were thin on the ground, so we were converting imp blocks and putting rear main oil seals on it. So what we'll do is, we won't use any bits from that. Oh, we'll use the steel rods from that, sorry. But the crank, the pistons, the block, I'll put brand new in. I'll do brand new crank, brand new 930 block, put my steel rods in, new set of pistons, oil filter housing and stuff like that can go again. But what I'm trying to do is, all my life, when it comes to racing my own car, I've always just made do with, I don't know, 3 of Benoit's old pistons and 1 new one, and all that sort of thing. I want to remove that from myself now and give myself the best chance. Because this was a good engine, this. I remember James being quite grumpy with me at Brands. He said, no matter how wrong you get the corner, you pull away from me on the straight. But anyway, obviously this was on the posh cam, the steel cam. So it was the early type steel cam where we did it with a longer valve before we got the posh valve springs done. So this was on this spacer plate. This is a taller carrier and obviously a bigger diameter follower, and then it ran with the full Toyota setup in it. So obviously longer valve, bigger diameter spring, as you can probably just about tell. So that worked quite well, all of that. But it's a shame because it's sealing perfectly, isn't it? The wheel strings haven't bled one single bit. Beautiful. But it was due it came apart anyway because it had been together for a while. So we'll get the bottom end apart and see what we see. Just sort of do a quick update. I've finished pulling the old 1040 apart, and to be fair, it was hanging in there okay. The crank's like new, so I'm not actually going to disturb that crankshaft from there. It was a brand new crank, I remember now. That was a brand new crank when I built it. It was actually a completely fresh engine, but it's like 2 or 3 years ago now. I'm going to steal the connecting rods out of it for my next race engine. Bearings are just like, they're like not bad at all considering. They've got a few marks on them, but there's plenty of missed gear changes. And of course, this is the engine where, do you remember where I had that shonky tyre on the outside rear at Brands Hatch, and I came off at Paddock Hill Bend and went right way through the gravel trap? That's my excuse anyway. And it broke the oil cooler bracket that had the pipe on it, and it pulled the pipe off the engine, so all the water came out of it. And I did it like about another lap before I realised exactly what was going on. So it did get quite hot, but it obviously didn't bother it too much. All the pistons look absolutely fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep them pistons with that block, and then when the rods come back, remember the rods we posted away to Stuart, the ones for profile machining and shop peening, when they come back, we'll put a set of those rods in there, and that can be a good 1040 spare for this season. Because I know the crank's done hardly anything, so yeah, that'll be absolutely fine. So that's the plan there. So I'm going to tidy up and then work out what else I can do before I can then a little play around for my new engine for next year. And first, two things I'm going to change. The first thing is we have run a damper on the bigger engines, the 1200s, for a while now. But I've been contacted by a chap, very clever chap, by the name of Des Hamill, and you may recognise his name. Wrote a few books, well into engine tuning, knows about everything basically. And he's been educating me over several emails about torsional vibration. And we know this is a problem with the Hillmans when they get really high up in the RPM range. So he suggested to me that I should fit a harmonic damper on the front pulley. Now this is a Ford damper that I bought from, it's actually got a 4MoCo number on it, a part number. I bought it from a vintage car spares bloke who swears by them. They put them on the crankshafts that have only got like one bearing at each end, like the early Austin 7 type engines, and I reckon it sorts the job right out. It's just to do with the twisting motions in the crankshaft from the driven end here to the front. You get like a flex on, hence why they always break at number 1 pin. Now, or in the case of Simon Knights, it broke on number 4, but normally we see them break on number 1 when they've had a right good screaming or they've done a fair few years, So this is one of Mark Maynard's superb one-piece bosses that he makes. So I'm going to try and make an indicator ring to go inside there and onside that, and then that can all go together, and we'll put that on just to try and control it. So I do want to rev this thing. I want to use 9+ all the time in it, ideally, to try and squeeze as many GGs out of it as possible. Anyway, I've got some rods here. These are a Robson rod, but they are plus 5mm, and I've had these rebushed to suit the Yamaha R1 piston. So this is the Yamaha R1 5-valve piston. It's 74mm, which is very handy because obviously we're running 1040cc, which is 74mm, and it's got 3 cutouts there. Now, if you remember when we did the one where it broke through in the pockets, it had like cutouts on the inside, but because it's got 3 valves in 3 positions, it doesn't have any relief on this side, so we can quite safely recut the valve seats. Now, I'm going to have to do another head for this new engine, not for this one, for the new engine I'm going to do, because the big compromise of using these lovely lightweight pistons is they lose so much compression through all the cutouts. So what I've done is I've just done a bit of working out, just dead rough, just to see where I'd be. But if I drop this in here and sit it on the big end, I've just used a straight edge across here and measured the drop down to the top of the pin, and then I've measured the compression height from here to here, and we're pretty much within about 1mm of where we want to be. So that means there's a good chance we could make this work if I use my brain. So I'm having a think about it. But these are the rods. These are the rods that came with the Yamaha R1 pistons. This is what we put the complete setup in the small pin journal crankshaft engines, which we'd never sell to a customer. That's just purely for Andy to mess around. But the weight of all this is just so light. I remember it being, I can't remember the exact figures. I think my imp rod piston combination is like 750 grams, and this is like 550 or something. So there's an opportunity here to do a bit of work because I've just been thinking, obviously the rod is so wide it won't go in the piston, hence why I did that little measurement using the drop on the vernier there. So we could machine these to make them fit in the piston, but then I thought we could make them piston guided and we could lose all this material around here and have it as a piston guided rod. Just trying to get the weight out of it all, you know, because it's just so heavy. Well, it's not so heavy, but when you go above like, you know, 9,000 RPM, the stresses are exponential. It's for clever people like William Parry to discuss with you, but yeah, it basically, it gets really busy inside. Anyway, I'm really pleased that we've had an hour and a bit to mess about with my own stuff. I've got a plan now for my new engine for next year, so we might put this one back together with a standard set of rods in it, and we've got a good base engine if we have a problem, but we'll put the effort into the new one. Chef Shrigley here. What have we got going tonight? We've got some mince, lamb mince with onions, just frying that off. In here we've got some tatties. Oops, steam the lens up. Bit of salt in there, gonna make some mash, mince, and then we had some sweet potatoes. Oh, steamed again. So just chop them up, a bit of oil on them, a bit of salt, and then put them on like a fast combi or something. It's like a microwave stroke oven. That'll cook them in no time. Yeah, gonna be a feast. I'll show you when something exciting. Some gravy granules with some cold water in there. Ooh, looking lovely that now. I've got the gravy granules in. These spuds, don't be shy with the butter. Plenty. Bit of milk. Smash it, and then fluff it with a fork. What have we got here? Look at this culinary delight. After the grief I received last time about my potato ash, I've made a special effort aesthetically. Jem's got the love art. I've got a pot piston. It's probably a cast one from Mark Maynard. There's a gudgeon pin. And the keen ones amongst you will have spotted the 18-degree valve relief there for the piston for the valves at top of the centre. Let's go and check out the... oh, look at them. Cooked a treat. That's the sweet potato fries. Always cook them at like 200 degrees or they go soggy before they fry on the outside. They'll be spot on them. Right, chaps, I'll leave you in peace now. Okay, YouTubers, thanks for sticking with me all the way to the end of the video. Got me iPad here with me questions on, so I'll get stuck into these and try and answer them as quickly as possible. So the first one is Roger Braley, 98. Hi Andy, talking about stock car racing being lost through the lack of interest over the years. I think it all starts with schools not teaching metalwork and woodwork and other practical lessons. I've been a petrol head ever since passing my driving test 1978. I was one then, by the way, and always repaired my own cars, which led to me following motorsport. One of my other hobbies is radio controlled models. With the number of model shops that we have closed, it's frightening. I live in Sheffield and we used to have 4 model shops, all gone now, and I had to travel to Leeds. Too many young and older ones are attracted to iPhones, gambling consoles, never get any fresh air, and have no idea how to repair anything. Sorry for the rant, but I fully understand your frustration. Roger, me and you, we are on exactly the same page. It's it all starts with the brung upness of the child. They need to be kept away from them consoles and games. A little bit's fine, because that's what the rates are into, but the majority of the time they need to be out, going to stock car tracks, model RC clubs, all the wonderful things that we were so lucky to have as children. Such a shame about stock car tracks, but it is just hopefully somebody somewhere will build that multi-purpose stadium with a lid on it so it doesn't have to suffer weather or noise or anything like that. So anyway, thanks for your comment, brilliant. I'll go on to the next one quickly. Goofy Jam Man. Speedway is such a good sport. Too many tracks closing. Will get you to Knoxville in Iowa one day. Colin, this is Colin. Colin's a customer that bought an engine off me, and I said for my 50th birthday, I want to go to America to Chili Bowl or to Knoxville, wherever. I want to try. I've got a year to organise it because I really want to go to America. So hopefully Colin will catch up and get a beer. I'll look forward to that. Okay, Bernard Ward 4187. Really enjoyed your content, Andy. Just one word of advice: don't get your what's it name caught up in the chain. I'll try not to. Thanks, Bernard. And I am going to fit a chain guard. Yes, good idea. Andy Garr said 1650. This is Andy, my mate, from down in Coventry. Fantastic as usual. Brandon Stadium is another that closed in 2016. Yeah, Brandon in Coventry. If you ever went to Brandon, you'll agree with me. There was no, I mean, I love Kings Lynn, but it's on the end of the earth. Coventry was 2 hours away. Me and my dad, we used to go there. We used to meet Mr. Benoy there when Benoy picked his engine up for refresh. If he's watching this, I remember we used to meet at Coventry. He'd pick the engine up and he'd bring his missus and we'd all watch the stock cars because it was absolutely awesome. Coventry racing was just the best. Anyway, before I get upset, I'll carry on. James Mackenzie, as a kid back home in Scotland, we used to go to see the stockies at Armadale and Cowdenbeath. Well, Cowdenbeath's still going. And one of the things I want to try and do this year is take the kids up to Scotland for this Scottish stock car weekend. So maybe we'll catch up, James. That's Jimmy Mack, by the way, who I'm trying to persuade to put a 16-valve red top engine on the top of his MGB block, but he's not biting at the moment. Haven View, in tribute to the Golden Shot. Bernie the Vault, Haven View, that's my mate Stephen. Bernie the Vault, he's a legend, any old Bernie. Right, Robert Fack 3082. You say you don't want the borer going too fast, you want a bit of torque, but then you say you want to put a bigger sprocket on the motor rather than an IM sprocket. This is wrong thinking. You need a smaller sprocket on the motor, not a bigger one. Ah, yes, but this motor is like twice as powerful as the original one. So what I was thinking was I was going to put a bigger sprocket on the motor to speed it up. Then I was going to buy a speed controller so I could control the speed, because I think it'll have the torque even though it's got a bigger sprocket on it. So we can whiz through the alley and put big cuts on at slow speed through the casts, because obviously two different materials require different cutting. But yes, I can see where the confusion's come from. I do often get myself muddled. In fact, I can get the most complicated thing, the simplest thing wrong, and the most complicated thing even wronger. Right, Tetley's dad. Hi Andy, good to see work underway with your mates. Are a big help. My cousin David Gaskin has a Singer 9 Le Mans like Alex and Jenny. I have been to Alton Park in it a few times from Stonestaff. Wow, that's a brave journey, isn't it? And an old car like that, but I bet it was great fun, wind in your hair and all the rest of it. Hopefully we'll maybe go and see Alex and Jenny one day and get a video of their Singer 9. Christopher Cullen, this is Kit from Down Under. Andy, those ACL bearings are made in Tasmania, Australia, in similar weather conditions. No wonder they work well in the UK. I see Retro Power are going to build an imp for Gordon Murray, so you will wet yourself watching that. My father used to take me to Tracy's Speed Shop way in Melbourne in the 50s. The boys on the hill will be drinking beer out of long neck bottles. Always good punch-ups by the end of the night. No security. They worked it out themselves. The colonies. Kit from Down Under. Yeah, well, there's no punch-ups in stock cars over here, Kit. Everyone keeps their issues to the track, and in the pits they all help each other, which is why we all love stock car racing, because of the way that people conduct themselves. It's brilliant, considering how full contact it is on track. Right, next one is Chris Val 78. Brandon Stadium. I spent many a happy hour at Brandon with my next door neighbour who used to run his stock car there in the 60s. I was unofficial pit crew. Absolutely wonderful times. Loved every minute. I love Coventry, and on the odd occasion I've helped Carl Hawkins out by scraping the mud off his bumpers between races, and yeah, I've loved every minute of it. In fact, I went to Kings Lynn to help Carl, and I said, is there anything I can do for you? And they're about to go out for heat 1, and he said, brakes are a bit spongy. So I said, let's bleed them. So I put a spanner on the bleed nipple, and it just came out on me, and he had no brakes. I was like, hey, what do I do? He was like, I've got no brakes, I'm going out. So I thought, never touch a bleed nipple just before a car's about to go out. Anyway, Benjamin Benson 8714. just watched the first 5 minutes and can't agree more about getting out, having something to look forward to. Yeah, we all look forward to going to something, don't we? Whether it's the pub to watch the football or the stock cars. In my little head, I think it doesn't matter what you look forward to doing, as long as you do something. You cannot be happy in the house watching Netflix. It'll just fry your brain slowly. So, yeah, or watching me on YouTube, that's another thing that will fry your brain. Andy Rogers, 914. The aged parents used to take me to Long Eaton Stadium to watch the banger cars and stock cars 1970s. A couple of old stock cars are regulars at Barton under Needwood Steam Rally every July. Oh, that's great that you all still see each other, you see. Like I still see Phil and Chris that I used to see at Coventry. In fact, pretty much when I go to a stock car meeting now, I'll bump into subscribers, old friends, people who've sat within the grandstands. And like I said, I couldn't believe it that day. We sat in the grandstand at Bradford and the chap next to me got his ham sandwiches out and Dougie was about 3 and he was watching him eat his sandwiches. Next thing the bloke said, "Do you want a sandwich?" Gave him a sandwich. What a legend. Right, thanks for that. Next one, Graham B1. Don't forget Newton Aycliffe Stadium. It was great and a real family night out. Did I miss that one? Sorry, I thought I'd said that one. Thinking about, this is Chris B8075. Thinking about how you run your engines up to let them get acquainted inside. I've just built and fitted a forged Rover K Series 1.8 in my hill climb ZR and put 340 miles on it on running in oil. Gradually increasing load and revs, ready for rolling road this Wednesday. What do you consider a minimum running before pasting on the dyno? That's a very good question, that. You see, it's all down to your clearances. If you're running like 1.5, 2 foul piston skirt clearance, you need to put 500 miles on it before you get it hot, before you get some real heat in the pistons, because it might pick up. Everything I run for racing is on 4 thou clearance, so it's clattery when it's cold, but we can, within like an hour of just, a few heat cycles, we're able to put load on it, no problem. And I do it all on the same, I buy the Torco running in oil. It's absolutely belting. Pulled them apart, and I've even raced on this oil, but it's got no posh bits in it. But as a braking oil, it'll never glaze up and they bed in real quick, especially since Kit taught me how to hold a block properly. But yeah, that's why I think 340 miles on the road, yeah, you should be ready for a good pace. Just keep the temperature down, get a 74-degree stat in it so it don't get too hot, especially if it's got some compression. Right, John Moneycreef 3034. To have the engine run the right way round in that yellow mid-engine beauty, it is possible to flip the diff rather than have the box run upside down. That is what VW guys do when fitting Subaru engines boxes into the back of Bugs and Type 2s. Yes, a very good point, this, and I've wanted to explain this for a while. The VW gearbox, the pinion shaft is on the centre line of the crown wheel bearings and the differential bearings, so you can flip the diff either way. But on the Imp, it is below centre line because it's something to do with noise apparently, and it's just a more refined way of doing it. So you can't flip the diff back to front because there's no space in the gearbox, and also it wouldn't mesh. So that's why you can't do that. That's why they turn the box upside down. Peter Wilkinson, this is my mate Wilkie. Sad news about Bradford. It is Wilkie. Wilkie's my legend mate. He came to Race Retro once, and great guy, always around to help. We've been to Bradford a few times as well, and to Jersey. I'll see you soon, Pete. Michael Bradbury, I'm dreading reading this one. Your mate who got that XR3i Dodd belonged to Steve Footers. Ask your pal. If so, I helped build that car. Was a winner. Why not use the steel 4 AGE rods? That chain in that machine looks like a disaster area. Well, you're probably right about the chain. Why not use 4 AGE rods? That was the very first long rodded engine we did, but we had to machine the rods a lot, and we're trying to limit the compromises and keep it to specific parts that are made to do the job. Your mate Steve Footers, you helped build the car. It was a winner. I'll give Clive a ring and tell him to check every nut and bolt, make sure they're tight, especially if you've been involved, pal. No, I'm joking. Nick Mitson, could that have been Jim Clark sat in the car? And I think someone replied to say, it certainly looked like him. It looks like him, yeah. I didn't know. I thought it looked like our friend Roger Nathan, but there you go. Right, last message. Chris Val 78, the subject of Glenn's car reminded me of the Lotus 18 that used a Renault Dolphin gearbox turned upside down. Amazingly, there was never a problem with lubrication. Straight cut, close ratio gears were available. No synchro on first. Lots of rebuilds. Yeah, I think the Renault Dauphine gear, but I'm not even sure what a Renault Dauphine gearbox is, but it sounds very similar to the Imp where the diff can't be turned around, so if you're turning it upside down. So brilliant. Right, I've done that. I said it'd take 5 minutes, it took 12 minutes 17, so I hope you stayed awake. Thanks for watching tonight. If you've still got anything left in you, then me and Dougie have been watching. Remember Francis Bourgeois? He's done a programme on Channel 4. It's called Mission to Space with Francis Bourgeois. It's on catch up, so if you've got Channel 4 or More 4 on your Netflix or whatever it's called on the telly, you can watch it at any point. So we've been watching little bits of that. The guy's an absolute genius. He's a brilliant engineer and he's trying to get to space, and it's really good. It's good watching, it's good genuine watching. So if you get bored, if you're still awake after watching me waffle, then I can't recommend that highly enough. Okay, have a great week and thanks for watching. I'll see you all next Sunday at 7. Bye for now.